To comment that Emperor Palpatine was associated with atrocities would be a massive understatement. Planetary destruction and mass genocide was his eggs and coffee in the morning, such as the life of a galaxy living under the thumb of a Sith Lord as their main ruler. Sidious always strived to ensure that if he needed to take out large sums of life, he could do so very quickly. But in the most recent issue of the canon Darth Vader run, that being issue number 40, we are introduced to another one of Palpatine's secret contingency orders. And this one might just be the most depraved of all, worse than Order 66. Protocol 23 was its name, and it was a mass destruction contingency order for his own imperial capital, the imperial capital, Coruscant. In today's holocron, we are going to go over everything we can gather about Protocol 23, how it operates, and what the implications of it might just be, and why it could be far worse than all 150 of the clone contingency orders combined. Protocol 23 is a terrifying brand new addition to the lore. Before we begin though, I would like to thank today's sponsor, Kamikoto Knives. But before we dive in, we'd like to thank the sponsor for this video, Kamikoto Knives. Do you want a blade that's sharper than a passive-aggressive insult from Mace Windu? A blade forged of the metals that literally inspired Beskar? A knife built tougher than Rey's plot armor? Well, let me introduce you to Kamikoto. Kamikoto is a company that offers an incredible array of immensely durable and high-quality Japanese steel kitchen knives. Each of their blades is forged using the traditional Japanese techniques as old as the Jedi Order itself. Each knife features intricately tempered Japanese steel impressive as Mandalorian Beskar.
I gotta get one of those.
Used by Michelin chefs around the world, Kamikoto knives are individually inspected before being sent out, and much like a Jedi's lightsaber, it comes with a lifetime guarantee. Just like a Jedi, you too can have your own trusty blade ready to conquer any meal at any moment. Many of the greatest chefs from around the galaxy comment on how important it is to have a high-quality knife. All Kamikoto knives are delivered in a heavy-duty ashwood box that, might I add, smells amazing. Get an additional $50 off with code JEDI during their holiday sale, where you could get your father something that Luke Skywalker never could. Using the link down below, you can help the channel during this holiday season. Thank you again to Kamikoto for sponsoring today's video, and with that, let's open the holocron. Before we properly analyze Protocol 23, we will have to provide a backdrop for its usage. The most recent arc of Darth Vader is exploring a brand new chaotic force known as the Scourge. The Scourge is essentially the Z-Virus but for droids. The Scourge itself is basically a series of nanites and computer programs that spread to any droids or cyborgs that it comes into contact with, corrupting their mental circuits and enslaving their brains to the collective Scourge hive mind. The Scourge itself is an interesting figure, as it was created as a melding of technology and Sith sorcery. What's interesting though, is that this occurred by complete accident, and it has an ultimate goal to corrupt Darth Vader. While Vader is simultaneously fighting against the Scourge and the backstabbing attempts of his life by various members of Palpatine's inner circle, he is also battling the temptation of the Scourge's offer, offering Vader to join forces with him so that they can bring down Sidious once and for all. We aren't going to talk too much about the Scourge in this video, but be sure to comment down below if you'd like a full coverage on it and the droid Scourge. Moving on, the Scourge is basically causing the equivalent of a droid zombie apocalypse as it plagues and spreads across the galaxy. The virus is corrupting every droid until it reaches the cradle of the Empire itself, Coruscant, and it's here where the atrocity happens. The droids are killing organics by the hundreds throughout one part of the planet city. That's when Emperor Palpatine very calmly and directly orders Mas Amedda to execute Protocol 23 in the 2 sectors that he lists off. The typically tyrannical Mas Amedda stutters before eventually giving the order. Clear shock shown on his face. All of a sudden, a grid of red lasers etch themselves across a wide area of the city in a dome, before about 8 city blocks instantly explode, bathed in fire. But the implications of this are extremely terrifying. It's implied that Protocol 23 is not just a few blocks of Coruscant, but the entire city planet of Coruscant is rigged to massive bombs that can wipe out entire sectors at the single push of a button. Both Lord Vader and Sly Moore are rocked by the amount of life lost in just moments, as it had been completely out of nowhere and they had no prior knowledge to it. But what is chilling of most is Palpatine's reaction. He shows no remorse nor grievance at having to do this at all, but instead smiles and seems to enjoy the effect of all the death it had on those around him. The shocked faces of individuals drenched in terror. While this may seem like a mercy in comparison to what happened to Alderaan, it is entirely depraved that Sidious has his own backyard, wired to giant landmines that he can remote detonate at any given moment. This just goes to show the extent of Palpatine's megalomania, how the Dark Lord does not hesitate to put anything under the threat of destruction if it does not please him. Even his own capital. It's now no wonder that the people of Coruscant didn't ever try to rise up against him. While there were riots following the destruction of Alderaan, and he nearly lost control of the capital then. This is a video we will be covering, by the way. The citizens did not attempt to rally a million against a few to take down the Imperial bureaucracy, and now we see why. The entire sectors of the planet can be snuffed out on a whim. It's not just that the entire planet will be destroyed at once, but it will be systematically destroyed one city block after another, whether to keep his people in line or destroy an enemy. Order 66 was one of the worst military actions in galactic history, with the collective genocide of the Jedi followed by years of poaching the remaining survivors. However, this is at least understandable from the perspective of the Sith who want to destroy an enemy. While this would sound cruel, we have to be brutally honest and point out that the Jedi did something similar not just once in their history, but several times to the Sith themselves. The Jedi systematically wiped out and hunted the Sith for sport all throughout many hundreds of years, having a team of their own Inquisitors known as the Jedi Shadows, doing all of it under the table. Not to say that Order 66 was in any way justifiable. In fact, neither what the Jedi or Sith did was justifiable outright. But from a military perspective, it makes sense. What does not make sense morally or ethically in any way is something like Order 37, what was previously believed to be the worst of the orders. Clone Order 37 was a contingency plan for the capture of a highly wanted individual. Order 37 specifically entails the mass arrest and threat of execution of an entire civilian population. This means that in order to capture a single criminal, the Republic clone troopers will hold the wanted individual's entire home planet hostage. Follow-up directives even include scenarios for body disposal of civilian casualties and suppression of communications. Order 37 is vile, and I personally cannot think of any situation where this would be the correct thing to do. The main proponent here is that the multitudes of innocents are being massacred for the sake of a single threat. But it's possible that Protocol 23 is way worse than this. This is because 37 has the one saving grace that its main function is to threaten a civilian population, not outright execute them immediately. There is likely a certain period of time the wanted individual is given to turn themselves in before things get very ugly. However, there is no warning to Protocol 23. There is no threat. There is no grace period. If Palpatine has deemed it necessary for any reason at all, he can wipe out entire sectors of Coruscant in a fiery blaze. Coruscant alone is home to trillions of beings. One sector of Coruscant could likely house the population of an average planet. This in fact is stated multiple times in both legends and canon. It is very well known how dense of a population Coruscant contains, which is why it is so atrocious that Protocol 23 exists in the first place. It is possible that this is one of the main reasons an assault was never made on Coruscant until the Emperor was dead. Of course, that's assuming Rebel intelligence knew about Protocol 23, because even Darth Vader did not know. Even if the rebellion did know, it is highly unlikely they would ever be able to get in and disable all of the bombs in time. We're talking about a bomb defusal mission that would require months or even years to complete, not to mention millions of people looking for them. They would have to find all the locations of the bombs, get experts to disable them, all while in the heart of the Empire and attempting to dodge the ever-watchful gaze of Palpatine himself. There is no doubt in my mind that each of the bomb locations are well guarded and hooked up to the best security sensors that technology can offer. Perhaps the thought that terrifies me the most is that there is a huge likelihood that the New Republic never found out about Protocol 23, and to this day, Coruscant remains sitting on a network of live explosives. But anyway, my friends, making Protocol 23 the most terrifying contingency order that we've seen to date, and a truly horrific addition to Star Wars canon. But anyway, my friend, what are your thoughts on Protocol 23? Is this worse than Order 37 or 66? And again, thank you to the sponsor for today's video. May the Force be with you, my friends, and have a great one.